She was mopping the lobby floor when the CEO caught wind of her fluent Mandarin, Spanish, and French, each word rolling off her tongue with the ease of a native speaker. The subsequent events left the entire company in a state of disbelief. The cleaning crew at Halberg International often went unnoticed by most, not due to any ill intent, but simply as a matter of routine. They entered after hours, maneuvering carts, replacing trash bags, polishing conference tables, seamlessly merging into the background like the soft hum of elevator music. Monday morning enveloped downtown Fort Worth, Texas, as the company's main lobby thrummed with the sound of shoes striking the tile, the rhythmic tapping of fingers on phones, conversations about looming deadlines, and the desperate grip on coffee, as if it contained the solutions to all their woes. As Jonathan Kellerman, the CEO of the company, made his way from the parking garage to the executive suite on the 18th floor, he suddenly heard it. A whisper in the silence. Yet it is not merely any voice. Fluent, incisive, and flowing through a language he hadn't encountered since his previous trip to the company's Shanghai office. Mandarin. It halted him in his tracks. It wasn't the language itself that captivated, but rather the identity of the speaker. He cast a quick look around, pondering if perhaps one of the international sales representatives had arrived ahead of schedule. Yet, in that moment, his gaze fell upon her, a woman clad in a burgundy janitor's uniform. Her short twists gathered into a neat ponytail, stands beside the touchscreen lobby directory, engaged in dialogue with an older gentleman clad in a navy jacket and thick-rimmed glasses. She observed a blend of confusion and relief etched across his features. With a serene demeanor, she gestured, her voice imbued with warmth and authority, guiding him toward the elevators. Kellerman squinted, his gaze sharpening with intensity. He had observed her previously, gliding through the corridors following late meetings, consistently courteous, perpetually reserved, and only meeting one's gaze when addressed. He was completely unaware of her name. Yet, there she stood, seamlessly interpreting and elucidating the intricacies of building logistics in a tongue that many Americans struggled to articulate properly. He advanced with deliberate slowness. As he approached, she concluded her conversation in Mandarin and pivoted to face a delivery man clutching a clipboard. Se encuentra en la búsqueda del muelle de carga. Se encuentra al fondo del edificio, adyacente al aparcamiento norte. Adyacente, she spoke, seamlessly transitioning into Spanish. The delivery man paused, his eyes wide with surprise. Indeed, thank you. In that same effortless manner, she glanced over at a vendor positioned nearby, examining a collection of incorrectly labeled boxes. C'est mal indiqué. La salle de conférence B est de l'autre côté, dit-elle en français, tout en lui désignant l'endroit d'un léger sourire. Kellerman's jaw tightened subtly, not from rage, but from a different sensation. Something more constricting? A twinge of guilt? For more than 20 years, he navigated the intricate world of global logistics, spearheading international expansions, recruiting translators, and crafting cross-cultural training programs. Yet here, within the confines of his own building, the most linguistically gifted individual he had come across in months was diligently scrubbing toilets just 2 floors beneath him. He advanced, his curiosity outweighing any sense of authority. "Pardon me." She pivoted in his direction, a mix of surprise and poise evident in her demeanor. "Indeed, sir." He offered a subtle smile. "Was that Mandarin, perhaps?" "Indeed, sir." "Do you speak it with fluency?" "Indeed." "In Espanol? Is it French?" She gave a slight nod. "In addition to Portuguese, German, Arabic, Italian, and Swahili, I have a familiarity with Latin, though I tend to overlook that one." He blinked, momentarily caught off guard. "Are you really saying that you speak 9 languages?" "Indeed, sir." Her tone held no pride, no arrogance, only a truth that was as direct as a level beam. He gazed at her for a moment, grappling with the realization that a janitor in his building, a woman who quietly mopped floors each night, embodied the essence of a walking United Nations. "May I inquire about your name?" At last he inquired. "Denise Atwater." "Miss Atwater, might you have a moment to spare?" Her brow arched ever so slightly. "At this moment, indeed, I would appreciate the opportunity to converse with you in my office." He observed the flicker of uncertainty, not quite fear, but rather that instinctive response people exhibit when they are accustomed to being overlooked or undervalued. She nodded slowly. Very well. He pressed the elevator button, keeping the door ajar as she entered. Within the confines of the lift, a hush enveloped the space for a fleeting instant. I've been here for 13 years, she remarked abruptly as they ascended to the executive floor. He pivoted in her direction. I never imagined I would receive an invitation to ascend. He offered a subtle, gentle smile. One might find it astonishing just how swiftly circumstances can shift. Yet, he remained blissfully unaware of the profound transformations that lay ahead. Neither for her, nor for him. The elevator chimed softly. Denise emerged first, her footsteps soft against the gleaming wood of the executive hallway. The air was infused with the vibrant notes of citrus intertwined with the rich essence of leather. Wealth, if one were to capture its essence in a fragrance. Kellerman's assistant looked up, eyes wide, at the unexpected presence of Denise beside him. Without a word, he simply nodded, signaling for her to allow them passage. Upon entering the office adorned with glass walls, he motioned toward a chair situated opposite his desk. Kindly take a seat. She settled into her seat with deliberate grace, her hands neatly folded in her lap, her gaze drifting languidly around the room. She remained unamused, merely attentive to her surroundings. A vast world map loomed behind him, each nation marked with vibrant colored pins. On the side table rested a tray of espresso cups, a photograph of his 2 daughters, and a dusty award from a trade conference in Brussels. Kellerman positioned himself opposite her, inclining his body ever so slightly in her direction. Denise, I must speak candidly. Today's conversation caught me by surprise. She offered a subtle nod, her stance unwavering, her expression inscrutable. But I just heard you speak 3 languages as effortlessly as flipping light switches. I find myself curious about how an individual such as yourself comes to be in a position like this, tending to the floors. For a brief moment, she remained silent. Her gaze darted to the window before returning to him. Do you have a moment for the truth? I would not have inquired if it were not necessary. With a soft exhale, she released her breath. Very well then. She clasped her hands, a gesture reminiscent of preparing to unleash a torrent of thoughts. I came into this world in Toledo, Ohio, as the sole child of my parents. My father worked as a pipe fitter, while my mother served as a nurse's aide. Though their resources were scarce, they toiled diligently, elevating education to the status of a sacred belief. I received a full scholarship to Kent State, pursued a major in linguistics, and was midway through my master's program when my mother fell ill. She hesitated. Upon my return home, I found it necessary to attend to her needs. 6 months later, my father succumbed to a stroke. All began to unravel from that moment onward. She inclined her head ever so slightly, as though she were rewinding the memories before allowing them to escape her lips. I welcomed a new life into the world, yet found myself without financial resources and a partner who chose to remain by my side. I toiled at whatever opportunities came my way: markets, care facilities, temporary employment. In due course, a custodial supervisor approached me with an offer for night hours. It allowed me to collect my daughter from school and settle the light bill. Thus, my journey led me to this point. Kellerman observed her intently, his gaze unwavering, fully absorbed in her words. Yet, what of the languages? I continued my journey of learning. I borrowed textbooks, immersed myself in recordings, and perused newspapers in 5 distinct languages, all to keep my mind keen. It is my craft. It's the sole endeavor that imbues my existence with a sense of significance. Her voice remained steady. It lacked rehearsal or artistry, simply straightforward. She remarked that most individuals never inquired. Upon seeing the uniform, they jumped to conclusions. That final word lingered in the atmosphere, taken for granted. Kellerman reclined in his chair, the heaviness of her narrative pressing against his heart like a leaden weight. She cleared her throat, a subtle prelude to the words that were about to follow. Listen, Mr. Kellerman. I'm not expressing this to cast any shadows on anyone. I hold no resentment. Life unfolded. I took the necessary steps. I continue to do so. However, you inquired, and that is the response. He released a slow breath. Denise Atwater possessed an extraordinary brilliance. It was now abundantly clear, yet she sought neither sympathy nor charity. She was revealing the truth, pure, transparent, and tinged with sorrow. "Have you ever considered pursuing something different?" he inquired. She offered a slight shrug. "At times, yet dreaming becomes a challenge when the rent looms large." Once more, silence enveloped the space. Yet it felt transformed, richer, imbued with an unarticulated yet potent essence. Kellerman picked up his notebook and swiftly penned a few lines. "What is it that you are composing?" she inquired, her tone remaining steady yet tinged with a hint of curiosity. He raised his gaze to meet hers. Concepts, yet a singular notion was taking shape in his mind, and it was anything but trivial. The dialogue lingered in his mind throughout the day. Throughout the budget reviews and vendor calls, Jonathan Kellerman found his thoughts repeatedly drifting back to that morning, to Denise Atwater, her serene voice and the understated manner in which she enumerated 9 languages as if they were mere trifles. Such fluency was not a mere coincidence. Years were spent cultivating discipline, nurturing curiosity, and pouring in heart. At approximately 3:45 p.m., he departed from the executive floor and descended in the elevator to the service level of the building. He yearned to witness something with his own eyes. The air below was imbued with a comforting warmth. The walls bore an off-white hue, marred by the marks of carts and the scuffs of boots. He navigated past maintenance crews, break rooms, and towering stacks of bottled water before arriving at the janitorial supply room. He caught sight of Denise through the ajar door, diligently restocking microfiber cloths on a gleaming metal shelf. "Do you mind if I trouble you once more?" he inquired as he crossed the threshold. She pivoted, a hint of surprise flickering across her features. "Did you come down here?" He offered a smile. "I found myself unable to shake off the thoughts from our conversation. I have a request to make." She brushed her hands against her shirt, a subtle gesture of dismissal. "What sort of favor are we discussing?" "A meeting is taking place upstairs." "A meeting is taking place upstairs." A team from the Sao Paulo office arrived ahead of schedule, and our translator backed out at the last moment. "Could you lend a hand?" She paused for just a moment. "Are you referring to the Portuguese language?" "Indeed, I am capable of accomplishing that." Shortly thereafter, they found themselves in conference room 4C. 4 Brazilian executives lingered in an uncomfortable silence, their eyes darting to their phones with a sense of unease. Denise entered with a quiet grace, offered a nod, and commenced her speech in fluid, assured Portuguese. Kellerman observed the subtle transformation of the entire room. Shoulders eased, gaze intensified. She was weaving words into a new tapestry. She was connecting 2 worlds, ensuring individuals experience recognition. As one of the guests shared a jest in Portuguese, Denise erupted in laughter, crafting a witty retort that sent ripples of amusement through the group. Kellerman grasped not a single word, yet he felt the essence of connection. The meeting concluded after a brief span of 20 minutes. One of the executives glanced at him and remarked in English, "She's superior to anyone we've collaborated with this year? Where did you come across her?" Kellerman's gaze fell upon Denise, who was diligently arranging the empty cups on a tray. "Here," he declared. In the dimly lit hallway, he finally closed the distance between them. "Have you ever engaged in professional translation before?" She gently shook her head. "I recently assisted individuals in hospitals and government offices, among other places, without a certificate. There is no time for school. My daughter required my presence more than ever." Kellerman inclined his head in acknowledgement. "Where is she at this moment?" "She is 26 years old. A caregiver in Tempe. She financed her own education, unyielding much like her mother." In that fleeting moment, their smiles erased the boundaries of their titles, transforming the space between them into something more profound than mere roles of CEO and janitor. Merely a pair of souls, engaged in a dialogue about existence. They made their way back to the service level, where Denise resumed her shift. She faced the task of cleaning 2 more floors before the shift change arrived. Yet, just before her departure, she uttered a phrase that lingered in his mind. Today unfolded without any remarkable events. He regarded her, his eyebrows arched in curiosity. "It appeared quite differently to me. She offered him a fleeting smile before turning away and departing. That evening, Kellerman lingered in his car for an extended period before making his way home. He pondered over it all. The weight of the ambition to expand the business, the gatherings of investors, the ceaseless dialogues surrounding diversity, and the potential of unrecognized talent. Throughout this entire period, their gaze has been directed outward, engaging in worldwide recruitment in pursuit of fresh talent. Yet, at times, the treasure lies right within your own backyard. Once that realization dawns upon you, the pivotal question shifts to, what actions will you take in response? As dawn broke, Denise's badge emitted an untimely beep. She had just completed the task of wiping down the east lobby when her supervisor, Ron, gently tapped her on the shoulder. His expression was a curious blend of emotions, neither outright annoyance nor the usual calm demeanor she had come to expect. "Hello, Denise. Mr. Kellerman has requested another meeting with you." She fluttered her eyelashes. "Have I erred in some way?" Ron gave a slight shake of his head. He remained silent. "I've just been instructed to send you up." With a swift motion, she wiped her hands on a towel and retraced the familiar path she had walked the day prior. This time, it felt as though every person in the building was acutely aware of her presence. Those she encountered lifted their gazes. Soft murmurs filled the air. One of the receptionists offered her a courteous smile, as if she possessed knowledge that Denise was unaware of. As she entered the executive suite, Kellerman lingered by the window, cradling a cup of black coffee and gazing thoughtfully at the skyline. "Step inside," he called, his back still to the door. She lingered silently by the door, awaiting his gaze. "I've been pondering," he remarked, setting his mug down on a coaster, "concerning the essence of talent. Refuse. What is the number of individuals who never receive a shot? Not due to lack of quality, but rather because they fail to capture a second glance." Denise remained silent. She was wary of unearned compliments. She had witnessed an abundance of individuals who boasted grandly yet accomplished very little. He expressed his desire to establish a new position, a creation that had not come into being prior to this moment. "This company is in dire need of something, even if we were unaware of it before." At that moment, her brow knitted in concentration. What is the purpose? A bridge between cultures in the realm of global relations. A person capable of articulating in multiple tongues. Perceive the subtle nuances hidden within the text. Manage guests, suppliers, paperwork. All the international connections that were perpetually stumbling through. Her lips parted, yet silence enveloped her. "You possess the necessary qualifications. Perhaps more than the majority of those within our leadership team. To be candid, you have already demonstrated your ability to manage it, with elegance, perseverance, and intellect." She fixed her gaze on him, her eyes narrowing just a touch. "Is this for real? As authentic as one can experience? I lack a college degree. There exists something superior. Personal journey, dedication. Fluency in 9 languages. Do you really believe that a mere piece of paper holds any significance for me?" She adjusted her stance, lingering in uncertainty. "Why am I the one?" He gazed intently at her. "I observed you tackle 3 problems in 3 different languages before the clock struck 9 a.m. yesterday. And because I've grown weary of passing by individuals such as yourself, individuals exerting double the effort yet receiving a mere fraction of the acknowledgement." Denise folded her arms across her chest. "One can easily anticipate the words that will be uttered by others. I am indifferent." She gazed at him for an extended moment, then released a gentle exhale. She remarked that she had never held an office job, never possessed a title. "You'll grasp it quickly. I find myself lacking a wardrobe suited for such occasions. I will arrange for HR to provide a clothing stipend." She let out a humorless laugh. "You considered every detail, didn't you?" "I am making an effort." A lengthy silence lingered in the air between them. Then Denise inquired gently, "What is the status of my shift downstairs? Who will take my place?" Kellerman offered a smile. "We shall seek out an individual. Yet there is no one who can take your place." A heavy silence lingered between them, stretching on for what felt like an eternity. She cast her gaze upon her hands before lifting her eyes to meet his once more. "Are you certain this isn't merely a favor of some sort?" He gently shook his head, a subtle gesture that spoke volumes. "This acknowledgement has long been awaited. She bit her lip, her eyes shimmering with unspoken emotions. Yet she managed to blink the tears back before they could escape. "Very well," she declared, her voice resolute. "Allow me to explore the possibilities ahead." He reached out his hand. She gave it a vigorous shake. It transcended the mere act of a handshake. History was being rewritten. Yet, neither of them anticipated the response from the others in the building. By Wednesday, the news had spread with a swiftness that outpaced even the elevators. Denise Atwater, the night shift janitor, had ascended to an executive-level position. The complete tale remained shrouded in mystery, known only through hushed murmurs. She was fluent in numerous languages. It was the CEO himself who had made the choice to select her. It is possible that she harbors a hidden past, perhaps a role within the government, perhaps even incognito. The whispers flitted from cubicle to conference room. A few individuals found themselves intrigued. Some smiled and remarked, "Good for her." Yet not all were applauding. In the staff lounge, two marketing assistants huddled together, their heads bent low over their salads. "I'm merely suggesting," one murmured. "I hold a master's degree in international business. For 2 long years, I have been anticipating a promotion. Last week, this woman was diligently scrubbing urinals." Her companion merely shrugged. "Perhaps she possesses insights beyond our understanding." "Oh, do come now." Kellerman is attempting to present a progressive image. Select a box. The same energy seeped into boardrooms and Slack messages. A subtle blend of unspoken frustration and bewilderment lingered in the air. Individuals were unaccustomed to advancements emerging from beyond the conventional hierarchy. As Denise crossed the threshold into her new office on the 12th floor, an unmistakable sensation washed over her. It was unassuming. Merely a desk, a solitary plant, and a computer that remained untouched, waiting in quiet anticipation. Yet to her it appeared as if it belonged to an entirely different world. Upon the completion of her onboarding with HR, she inquired whether she might retain the night uniform. Not for adornment, merely a reminder for herself. That afternoon, she convened with Victor, the leader of international operations. He entered, clipboard in hand, his eyes narrowed with intensity. She did not extend her hand for a shake, did not take a seat. "Ah, so you're the new liaison," he remarked, as if delivering a jest cloaked in courtesy. Denise lifted her gaze. "That is what I have been informed. Do you possess experience in corporate settings?" Her lips curved into a smile, merely from the periphery, gazing inward. He remained silent, devoid of laughter. "I have received reports from Italy, contracts from our partners in Dubai, and a comprehensive vendor issue in Sao Paulo. Do you believe you can handle that?" She rose to her feet. "I will require a few hours to conduct a thorough review, but the answer is affirmative." Victor let the folder slip from his grasp, allowing it to land with a soft thud on her desk before he turned and strode out of the room. As the night deepened, Kellerman made his way to her office. "How is the first day unfolding?" She released a breath, reclining in her chair. "I've experienced worse." He offered a smile. "Is Victor giving you a tough time?" "Is Victor giving you a tough time?" "He fails to instill any fear within me. I had my suspicions." She hesitated for a moment before continuing. "May I ask you something?" "Everything." "What prompts this moment? What is it about me?" A simple bonus would have sufficed, allowing us to proceed without further ado. He rested against the doorframe. "I recognized a reflection of myself within you." She arched an eyebrow. "So, you held the position of a janitor?" "I was indeed overlooked. Many. My journey began in the depths of obscurity. In a forgotten town, my father dedicated his hands to the art of fixing cars. Throughout my college years, I juggled 3 jobs. There were whispers that I was out of place in gatherings such as these." Denise inclined her head with deliberation. "You hold the power to determine who gains entry." He returned the nod. "Precisely." A moment of stillness hung in the air as Denise cast her gaze upon the file resting on her desk. "To speak candidly, unease courses through me." "Excellent. It signifies that you have a genuine concern." She raised her gaze once more. Raised her gaze once more. "There will undoubtedly be individuals who despise this. They will move past it. Or perhaps they will not. Regardless of the circumstances, we are progressing onward." Kellerman held himself upright, A tale resides within you, Denise, an authentic one. At this moment you possess a platform." He then pivoted, preparing to depart. With the soft click of the door closing behind him, Denise surveyed her office. She recalled the countless moments spent weeping in the solitude of bathroom stalls during her lunch breaks. The evenings she returned with weary feet and just enough vitality to warm a bowl of soup. The birthdays that slipped through her fingers. The promotions she observed being awarded to individuals who never even offered a simple good morning. With a deliberate motion, she slid open her desk drawer and carefully tucked the weathered janitor badge within its confines. Let us not overlook to recall precisely the journey that led to this moment. Yet this narrative had transcended her singular experience, and the spotlight was on the verge of intensifying significantly. As the week drew to a close, Denise's nameplate found its rightful place outside her office. Dark characters etched upon polished metal. Denise Atwater. A bridge between cultures, global relations. It appeared to be official, immaculate, everlasting. The news had spread far and wide, this time with a sense of formality. On Friday morning, the company-wide email arrived in inboxes, delivered personally by Kellerman. It was concise, straightforward, and resonated deep. He elaborated on her role, her background, and most crucially, her worth. He refrained from presenting it as an act of charity or a mere feel-good gesture. He expressed it unmistakably. She was the ideal candidate for the position. Full stop. Yet, the clamor persisted unabated. Several managers muttered quietly to themselves. They began to relent as they witnessed her prowess unfold. She maneuvered through discussions with international clients more adeptly than the program itself. She meticulously rectified the mistranslations in ancient contracts that had drained their finances for years. She always maintained a humble demeanor. She simply toiled away, silently, effortlessly, surpassing all expectations. On Monday, Denise received an invitation to participate in a meeting with a delegation hailing from Morocco. The company's foray into North Africa had languished for months, ensnared by a web of miscommunication and mistrust. She entered the room clad in a gentle beige blazer, took a seat at the table, and gracefully introduced herself in fluent Moroccan Arabic. The atmosphere of the room shifted. One could sense it. The transition. Individuals inclined forward. They paid attention, for when another articulates in your tongue, it transcends mere words. Respect resonates in the air. Following the meeting, a Moroccan partner sought her out for a private conversation. He caressed his chest softly, a customary expression of appreciation. "No one has ever done that for us," he remarked. "Not in our lexicon. That's not the way." Denise inclined her head in agreement. "Your existence holds significance. That is all." As the week approached its midpoint, Kellerman executed yet another maneuver. He decided to give a new name to the company's primary training room, the space where all new hires convened for orientation and where mid-level leaders conducted their workshops. The plaque that once adorned the door has been removed. In its stead, the Atwater room. There is no significant news to share. There will be no gathering. A subtle gesture and a transformation that held greater significance than any bouquet or dessert ever might. As the afternoon waned, Kellerman lingered outside the room, observing the fresh cohort of interns as they made their entrance. He caught a whisper from one of them. "Who's a twatter?" A senior staff member replied. "She's a person who has reminded us all that true greatness doesn't always wear a suit." On that very day, Denise discovered a sealed envelope resting on her desk. Only her name, devoid of a return address, inscribed in bold, clear letters. Within lay a note. It stated, "I once believed I would remain unseen for all eternity. Yet today, I found myself standing a bit taller. All thanks to you. Thank you very much." There is no signature, merely evidence that eyes were upon them. Individuals yearning to witness the realm of possibilities. Denise remained seated, her gaze fixed on the words, a constriction forming in her throat. She remained composed. There was no necessity for her to do so. In that instant, she came to a profound realization. This transcended mere employment. A door stood before him. Yet, not every door remains ajar without a struggle, and there was already a scheme in motion to resist. The response emerged swiftly. revealing its true nature. On the late hours of Thursday, Denise found herself summoned to a meeting. Not by Kellerman, but by an authority beyond him. Eleanor Craig, a distinguished senior board member, had arrived from Dallas by air. She had been part of the company since the 1990s. Tailored elegance, witty and incisive words. Denise entered the modest conference room on the 17th floor, where Eleanor sat, a pile of papers before her and an expression as flat as the surface they rested upon. Eleanor rapped her pen against the surface twice. "Miss Atwater, I have taken the time to examine your file. There exists a lack of a college degree, previous corporate training, and management certifications." Denise remained unperturbed. "Indeed, that is accurate." Eleanor clasped her hands together. "3 weeks ago, you held the position of janitor here. I existed." She reclined in her chair, a moment of stillness enveloping her. "Assist me in grasping how an individual with your experience is currently navigating the complexities of high-level international relations." Denise maintained her stare. "I possess the ability to communicate in multiple languages. I grasp the nuances of various cultures. I have successfully resolved 2 vendor contracts and eliminated a 3-month delay in our deal with Morocco. I played a role in securing a verbal agreement with our Brazilian partners, which legal is set to finalize next week." Eleanor pressed her lips together, a subtle gesture that spoke volumes. "Do you believe this company ought to be guided by intuition and charisma?" Denise offered a faint smile. "Indeed not, madam. It seems to me that the focus ought to be on outcomes." Eleanor's eyelids fluttered momentarily. It was the inaugural moment when Denise witnessed her falter. "I don't require anyone's approval," Denise remarked. "Yet, I find myself yearning to be of service. Indeed, I am." Eleanor rose to her feet, her fingers gently folding the folder shut. "You are a risk waiting to be taken. I'm accustomed to that," Denise murmured softly. "My whole existence has been a narrative." As the meeting drew to a close, Denise lingered, hesitating to make her way back to her office. She stepped out of the building and settled onto a bench across the street, gazing at the glass tower that now housed her workplace. For countless years she had strolled by that building, clad in the same uniform, burdened with her cleaning supplies, pondering whether anyone truly noticed her presence. At that moment, they all did. Yet, there were those who found it unappealing. With a swift motion, she retrieved her phone and dialed her daughter's number. "Greetings, Mother," her daughter replied. "Is everything all right?" Denise paused for a moment, then gave a small nod to herself. "Indeed, I simply longed to hear your voice." "Are you certain?" "I am certain." Their conversation meandered for a few minutes, largely revolving around trivialities. Groceries, her daughter's dog, a new movie she longed to see. Yet, the mere sound of her laughter brought a sense of calm to Denise. Once the call ended, she remained enveloped in quietude. She rose to her feet, crossed the street once more, and ascended the elevator to her designated floor. By the following morning, news of the Eleanor Craig meeting had inexplicably circulated. To the astonishment of all, Denise stood her ground. She arrived ahead of schedule, addressed the team during the meeting, and engaged in a call with the German office effortlessly, without the aid of a translator. Serene, incisive, undisturbed. On that very day, a handwritten note materialized on the whiteboard outside her office. "Your presence is acknowledged." 3 words, devoid of a name, yet they held the universe within them. In the weeks that followed, an odd occurrence took place. Individuals began to seek her out, not solely for translation, but for counsel, direction, and assurance. She transformed into the go-to individual for anyone seeking to present an idea. She would gather with the interns, offering them invaluable insights before their significant presentations. She always spoke to others with respect and equality. One of the interns, a timid Vietnamese boy named Bao, inquired of her, "How did you acquire such proficiency in all those languages?" Her lips curved into a smile. "One word at a time, just as you will." Denise was not merely fulfilling her duties, she was transforming the very fabric of society. On a quiet afternoon, Kellerman found himself sharing a cup of coffee with her in the break room. He mentioned that he had been hearing positive remarks. She delicately lifted her cup to her lips and took a sip. "I have been making an effort to overlook the negative aspects." She gazed at him, a ripple of intrigue in her eyes. "Is that a positive development?" He offered a smile. Is it nearby? Is it nearby? It signifies that you are on the right path. They lingered in quietude for a brief moment. You know, he added, I've been contemplating the idea of initiating a training program aimed at nurturing our internal talent, particularly those engaged in non-desk roles. It's likely that this building houses even more Denises. She inclined her head in agreement. There exist. They remain unseen for the moment. He cast his gaze upon her. Would you be willing to assist me in constructing it? Her lips curved into a smile. It has already begun to take shape in my mind. By the end of the month, the pilot program was launched. A fresh initiative named Voice Inside aims to provide employees from various departments with access to language training, leadership mentoring, and enhanced visibility across divisions. The idea originated with Denise, and it ignited into flames. Ultimately, she received an invitation to address a logistics leadership summit in Cincinnati, where she shared her narrative, not as an inspiring anecdote, but as a stark reminder of the realities at play. I was never merely a janitor, she proclaimed to the assembled crowd. I possessed fluency. I possessed the ability. I stood prepared, yet no one ever took the time to truly observe it. As you stroll past someone devoid of a title, take a moment to ponder. What might you be overlooking? Silence enveloped the room. And then it stood, met with resounding applause. As she made her exit, a young man drew near, his eyes glistening with tears. He mentioned that his mother works as a housekeeper. She is fluent in 5 languages. I once felt a twinge of shame in admitting that. Denise's fingers brushed against his arm. Never feel embarrassed about your origins. To remain oblivious to brilliance is the only true shame. She emerged from that building with a newfound height she had never experienced before. Not for the cheers, not for the advancement, but because she remained true to herself, refusing to alter her essence to conform to the expectations of the role. She carried with her the entirety of her narrative, each layer intricately woven into her being, and that changed everything. Do not presume to gauge a person's value by their attire, their place of employment, or the details of their resume. True talent transcends the confines of attire. Intelligence operates without the need for approval. Brilliance may stroll by, adorned with a name tag and wielding a mop. Should you find yourself in the shadows, dismissed or unheard, persevere onward. The one meant for you will recognize your worth. And when the opportunity arises, embrace the chance to claim your place at the table. Even better, consider bringing along a few extra chairs.